Steve, I heard this most amazing discussion by two incredibly proficient and fast-thinking co-hosts that you told me were synthetic co-hosts, but still, it blew me away when I listened to this. The two co-hosts talking about OODAcon, and it blew me away because they sounded so human and they sounded so informed, and they expressed things in ways that I wish I could have about my own conference.
We only work with the best, Bob. We Whether they're real or whether they're virtual, we only try to deal with the best.
Yeah.
That's why we're partnered up with OODA.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
Well, thanks. And now tell me how you did this.
So I use Google Desktop, Google Notebook, which apparently is in beta or experimental mode. I had seen several people on LinkedIn and I think somebody on Twitter, they were commenting about how, blown away they were by it. And then I spoke with a friend who said, "Oh my God, you've got to check this out." And so I was, the day before yesterday, I was there and I just went to it and I took a 2-page PDF on RedVector's product Fulcrum. It's a insider risk management platform. I simply copied it on to the notepad, and there was this feature that said, "Click here for a deep dive podcast, automated podcast." So I clicked on, and I had no idea what was going to come back. And then 2 minutes later, 2.5 minutes later, the audio file came back, and I was blown away. I mean, it was like, this is incredible. And I've been doing this, Bob. I've been in technology for almost 40 years now, and I've had a few tectonic plate shift moments. This is like the big one hit, right? This one was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I really just listened to what I heard. So obviously then I become completely enamored with it. I become completely addicted to it. I'm sticking any and everything I can into it. Very ideally, very short little, descriptions or clips of things. I took some public U.S. government stuff. I took a 120-page report actually by the National Security Counterintelligence Center on insider threats, dropped it in there, and boom, here comes this 15-minute deep dive as if it was, I was listening to somebody on, CNBC or Bloomberg or,
Amazing.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And
Well, Steve, how
so,
did you
yes,
train it on so much knowledge about OODAcon?
so yesterday morning I was going through the mail, right? And your message came in and said, "Hey, here's a reminder. We're having the conference. Make sure you're registered, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, Bob will get a kick out of this. Here, let me see what happens here." So I simply took your email, I copy and pasted the contents of your email, I stuck it into the Google Notebook, and boom, it created what they call the deep dive. And so I just chuckled. I said, "Oh God, I'm sure he's going to get a kick out of this." So I sent you, the link. The one thing is that I don't believe right now they have any persistent storage. So you have to download these and stick them somewhere. Well, they're pretty big. They render them out as WAV files. So I think yours was like around 20 megabytes or something, too big to send through email. And so I basically fired up my Substack, which again, I opened up a Substack, 4 months ago, and then I was like, I'm not gonna do anything with this, and I put it away, and then I'm like, hold a minute, say that's got free storage on it. This is where I, this
Yeah.
is where I can put these things. So I simply copied and pasted it to my Substack and sent you the Substack link,
Yeah.
right? And so that's how it went down. And then I decided to get a little bit cute, and I went into Grok, which I think has some of the best photorealistic images you put in a description. And I said, "Give me a man and a woman that are doing a podcast." So I've now decided to name them Kelly and Ken. And since I could have called it the OODAcast, but I didn't want to infringe on your intellectual
Well,
property.
Steve, I
So
got to tell you, Kelly and Ken did an awesome job explaining OODAcon, and they said things about it I wish I would have said, and they
that's
extracted
what
it from things we provided. They just said it so well, though.
and with all of the right intonations, the pauses, the nuances,
The
you know,
interruptions.
look, the interruptions. Exactly, Bob. I've been telling people, people have been asking me, well, Steve, are you worried about AI? Are you really worried about it? Oh, no, you're not. There's nothing to be concerned about. Now, I'm a little nervous
Well,
because
Steve,
I
that
still,
I know what you mean, but I think one way to mitigate that nervousness is by planning and preparation and continual learning. I really believe that. And that gets us back to OODAcon. I wanted to ask you, why personally are you coming to OODAcon?
because of you guys. I mean, because of listen, as you know, I've attended several of your hospitality events at RSA and at Black Hat. I just saw you out in Vegas, and I came to your event that you had at your offices with who was our CIA publisher author, Rick
Rick Prado?
Prado. And look, you just have a very unique group of very interesting, intelligent, visionary, in the know type of people. And so I always walk away from every event of yours having learned a lot more than when I walked in. So
Well, thanks for
I
saying that, Steve. You know, the reason we do that is because of people like you. We love having people like you in the room, and that the audience is what really, really makes it. We get about 200 people like you that can then network with each other and interact. We don't want to get much bigger than that because that cuts down on the ability to collaborate and coordinate and meet people.
Well, and I'm able to basically follow your philosophy: observe, orient, decide, and act. So anytime I've gone to one of your events, I'm able to observe, orient myself, learn, right? And then make some decisions that help me and my business go forward for another day, month, or year.
Well, Steve, I'm about to play the video, I mean, the audio for everybody so they hear what we've been talking about. But before we go, tell us about Red Vector. What is it that you do?
It's a correlation engine that allows organizations to bring data sets in from a wide variety, almost any type of source of data, and then build risk models for it.
Ah,
So you can build
great.
models based on espionage, sabotage, theft, corruption, workplace violence, data exfiltration. And so it really sits at the intersection of cybersecurity and corporate security.
Hey, thanks, Steve.
Ever feel like, whoa, hold on a second, is the future just like slamming on the gas? I mean, new tech, global, this, that, everything change. It's a lot to keep up with, you know?
Yeah, tell me about it. I feel like I need a roadmap just to check the news some days.
Right. So that's what we're doing in this deep dive, using OODAcon 2024 as our cheat sheet for the future. And let me tell you, OODAcon, it's not your average conference, not even close. It's like, picture this.
All right, I'm picturing it going.
You've got like the brightest minds in tech, government leaders, yeah, even some those hacker types you hear about.
Oh, wow. The whole shebang.
All in one place, trying to figure out, like, where are we even going with all this? And one thing that really jumped out, at least to me, was this whole idea of cyber diplomacy.
Yeah.
I mean, you say diplomacy, I'm thinking like fancy rooms, ambassadors, right?
Right. Shaking hands, signing treaties, the whole bit.
Exactly. But this OODAcon session, cyber diplomacy for cyber and AI safety, it's like the embassy's gone digital. Cyber attacks, AI warfare, that's the new battlefield.
Duh.
Kind of wild, huh?
It's definitely a new world order out there, that's for sure.
And speaking of new worlds, did you catch that Beyond Human Limits session? AI is not just like scheduling our calendars anymore.
No kidding. It's moving faster than we can even process sometimes.
We're talking AI that could potentially outthink us on some seriously complex stuff.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Raises some huge EE questions, right? Like, what
Yeah.
happens if an AI is calling the shots on, I don't know, global trade deals or military strategy?
Exactly. And it's not just about, some sci-fi robot takeover either. It's about responsibility,
Yeah.
ethics.
Oh, for sure. And speaking of responsibility, OODAcon also dug into how tech can actually solve some of our biggest problems, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, absolutely. The disruption as a catalyst talks were fascinating. They highlighted how things like, say, renewable energy breakthroughs or AI-powered, what they call prediction models.
Right. Those things.
Those could actually help us get a handle on climate change, which we desperately need. It's not all doom and gloom. There's hope, too.
Right. It's like, yeah, disruption's happening, but how do we use it for good? Which
It
actually,
makes you think differently, for sure.
that kind of leads us to the age of exponential blockchain disruption.
Hmm.
Now, I gotta admit, sometimes these tech buzzwords, they all blend together, but exponential, it's not just fast.
No, it's definitely in a league of its own.
It's like, you know that story about the chessboard and the rice,
Go on.
where the guy's like, just give me one green on the first square, then double it on each one after. Seems simple, right? But by the end, it's more rice than exists on Earth. That's the kind of scale we're talking about with blockchain, at least according to OODAcon. Now, it wasn't all, rainbows and unicorns. That session on China current threats and emerging risks, that was pretty intense.
Yeah, and, these geopolitical things, it's easy to get caught up in, like, the headlines and the drama. But the key takeaway for me was we got to be nuanced, right?
Totally.
China's a huge GE player. Yeah, not just in, like, manufacturing anymore. They're innovating like crazy, investing in all sorts of tech. So understanding what they're doing, what they want, that's crucial for anyone, really, who's trying to, plan for the future.
No question about it. Gotta stay informed. Which I guess is a good transition to the final OODAcon sessions. Things got kind of meta.
Oh, yeah, how so?
They had one on the net assessment for the future and another on literally navigating the future. Got me thinking, how do we even wrap our heads around something so big, so fast-moving? It's almost an impossible question, isn't it? So, putting you on the spot here, if you had to give someone the TLDR of this OODAcon deep dive, what would you say?
That's a tough one. There's so much to unpack there. I think, for me, the biggest takeaway is that the future is not something that just happens to us. It's something we're actively creating every day through the choices we make, the technologies we develop.
I like that. It's not about predicting, it's about shaping. So, to everyone listening, consider this your official invitation to join the conversation. Dive into these topics, do your own exploring. Like we said, the future's coming at us fast, but hey, maybe we can steer it a little bit while we're at it.